It's your daily dose of Donna. Welcome to the show. It is Friday, December 27th. We went straight to Friday, you guys. I just jumped forward. We just passed over the whole week. I missed you guys. It's been a long week without you. I had some separation anxiety. I really did. I had separation anxiety from all of you dosers. I really, truly did. Honestly, I wanted to know what it was like to not see you on a daily basis. And the truth is, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was feeling the shakes. I was feeling sad. I was feeling lonely. I was feeling, all those things that you feel when you're not with your loved ones. And now I am hanging out with you guys where I want to be. Vicente has arrived. The family is back together, y'all. The gang is back together. Dosers, unite. It's like, we're all in this together. Everyone in the comments, I feel like we're finally home, right? We are home. It feels like home to me. Okay, I promise it's not going to be a full singing day, although I really think it could be. We should do today's whole show in song. Todd is here. I mean, how annoying do we want to get? Now, the good news about not doing a show for 4 or 5 days, I did drop my members only for you guys on Monday night. I did feel like I needed to give you a gift for Hanukkah, a gift for Christmas. But now, since it is Kwanzaa, I have a big gift, a huge gift. We have so many stories. That's the biggest gift of all, is that when you don't do a show every day, you come back with a boatload of stories. We've got so many stories, so many. So this is why it's so good to take a few days off. I can't wait to tell you all about my week in Vegas. We gotta get into it because Scheana has talked more drama with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. You guys, the judge in the Jay-Z lawsuit is like, no. She put the kibosh on Jay-Z trying to throw out that lawsuit. Yeah, I know, Vicente. I hear ya. You're pissed. We also have Teddy making some interesting statement to Edwin last night. A bizarre tribute. Kyle and Mauricio have spent their holidays together. Actually, Mauricio and PK did open up over the week in a very strange. They talked about their relationships in very, very bizarro ways. Very opposite. Let me think what else. God, you guys, so many other things we can talk about. We got to just get right into it. Don't you guys think? Because it's been a while. This is your daily dose of Donna. I hope everyone did have a nice holiday. I know that I did. It was, for the first time in, I think, 20 years, we did have Hanukkah and Christmas on the same exact day. Christmas Day, of course, is December 25th every year. And this year, the first night of Hanukkah was on December 25th as well. So we brought our menorah to Las Vegas. We were in Vegas on December 20. Gosh, what day was Monday? Don't even know my days anymore. Was it the 23rd? I think it was the 23rd. We left Monday morning, 23rd, and got home yesterday afternoon, the 26th. And it was a great time. We did have a great time. We did have a sickness in our home. Well, we weren't home. You know, there's no traveling with kids without getting a sickness. We were okay. Everyone was actually okay. My poor Oliver had non-contagious, we just found out, pneumonia. Yep. So sad. He's fine, but he was coughing like crazy. And then we took him to a doctor and he's on antibiotics. So he's feeling good. He's feeling fine. He's feeling good, but I felt so bad for him. But what was cool about this? Now, let me tell you, this is what I decided I'm going to do, you guys. This is what I decided. Oh, and by the way, I always like to find someone that is new here. Elle says, I finally caught a live. What's up, LB? Are you L Bowling? LB? Hey, Lance Bowling is LB. I call him LB. but you're Elleb. Now, I will tell you guys something. I do a newsletter every week. Okay. So if you go to dailydosepod.com/newsletter, or you can just go to dailydosepod.com, and on that front page of it, there's a button for newsletter, or it's down here on my show notes. You can sign up for the newsletter. You'll get it every single Monday morning. And in it comes a bunch of links, right? So it will have like some updates from what I talked about in the show that week. It will talk about things that I'm listening to, things that I'm reading, watching. Sometimes it will be like recipes that I'm cooking. This week, or Monday's newsletter, I want it to be my itinerary in Vegas. So that means if you're going to Vegas anytime soon with kids, with family, whatever, this will be a specific kid-friendly itinerary based on what I got from shout out Jennifer Savvy she's a realtor in Vegas. She was awesome. She and I were DMing the entire weekend, and she helped me with some great ideas of places to go. We had such an amazing time. We had incredible food, some of the best Chinese food I have ever had not even some of the best Chinese food I have ever had in my life in Las Vegas on Christmas Day. And it was off strip at the Gold Coast Hotel, a place I have never been to. And it was magical. So I'm gonna be sending all of that out a little bit later, okay? Or on Monday. So make sure to sign up there, and then you can get the weekly newsletter. And you always get little goodies in there. Chinese food is like something that is hit or miss for me. I love Chinese food if it's good, right? Well, who likes bad Chinese food, right? But that's every kind of food. But Chinese food, when it's good, it's like to die for. This place was beyond. And for a family of 4, and we were stuffed. And this includes like beer for Lance and I, drinks for the kids, and so much food that we couldn't even finish in Vegas. $130 for dinner for 4. Tons and tons and tons of food. It was the best thing in the world. Okay, so let's move on to some stories. Where do we start? Well, let's just start from Monday, okay? On Monday night, I released my take on this complaint, the Blake Lively complaint. Now, as you guys know, I was very passionate about it because I was really upset at myself, and I talked about this on a reel and a TikTok that I posted early Monday morning before we left for Vegas. I was really bummed, actually, really disappointed in myself because I felt like I got, if you know what I mean. Like I felt like I got suckered into the PR tactics of America. And think about how many times we do that in general, right? Like how many times we've gotten taken by the PR tactics of the world. And there's still people that are still heavily on Justin Baldoni's side, and they think that we are just getting taken by the PR tactics of Blake Lively's side now. But if you have a chance to watch my take on the Blake Lively complaint versus Justin Baldoni on Monday's episode, please go and watch it because I understand that there's many other content creators who have different takes on it. And I think that's interesting. What you're seeing in my video is basically that I think, we as a whole, it's very easy it wasn't even mainstream media. I mean, mainstream media definitely caught wind of social media, but it was social media, I think in this case, that took us down. Well, I say took us down, but really kind of took us for a ride. And I don't think you guys are shocked when I say that I'm Jewish. In case you guys didn't know, I'm Jewish, and this last year has been a horrendous year for anti-Semitism. And I believe social media has been a very, very big, strong reason for this global rise in anti-Semitism. So I'm not surprised by the fact that social media can be like this kind of, and this is anti-Semitism is just my own personal experience with this, but think about how many other big, huge movements, how many other big, huge things that we've seen in our lives that we don't even know that we're part of, that we've been kind of taken by, that haven't been exposed yet, that haven't had this huge campaign, that haven't had money behind it to get sued, etc. Josh goes, wait, Donna's Jewish? I know. You wouldn't know. I never talk about it. It's so weird. I know. Shocker. I basically almost got canceled because I am. So this is interesting. My daily shout out of Eliza Rosen. She sent me an article that I was kind of just overlooking yesterday. It's an opinion piece, so take it for what you want. But this is a guest essay that was released yesterday that says, I've seen celebrity PR tactics at work. Blake Lively is not alone. It's a really interesting article. This is by a woman named Elizabeth Spears, who is a journalist and a digital media strategist. I can post the link later on my Facebook group, Daily Dose of Donna, or maybe I'll post it in my stories on Instagram somewhere later. But essentially what this article is saying that, based on everything that's kind of come out in the last week or two with Blake Lively and everything that's come out with how we all were taken by all these crazy rude articles, or not articles, crazy rude interviews that have come out in the last few months with Blake Lively, which we all saw. I mean, we can't be gaslit into thinking that those were fake. Like, if you rewatch those interviews of Blake Lively being rude, those are real. Okay. Those were not fake. Debbie goes, and by the way, did anyone know that Angie K is Greek? I know, Opa. The more you know. We're teaching new things here. Had no idea, right? So anyway, it says, but this article highlights some interesting things. It says much of what we know about celebrities' lives is shaped by PR professionals who are paid handsomely to create and spread stories that are flattering to their clients and unflattering to their perceived enemies. Reputation management is big business. It's a ruthless business, too. Dishonesty is often tolerated on the dubious basis that entertainment is a frivolity and the stakes are low, and things like talent and truth can be tarnished with the art of the smear. And this person is saying that after they this woman co-founded the website Gawker. Do you guys remember the website Gawker? Gawker. It says, I saw the brute force of celebrity PR tactics up close early in my career after I co-founded the website Gawker in 2002, which mostly covered well-known New Yorkers in the spirit of Spy magazine. And freelance for the New York Post's Page 6 gossip column. In the first months of Gawker, we got a cease and desist letter from Marty Singer, a well-known entertainment lawyer who insisted that we take down an unflattering story about one of his clients. The threat never went anywhere because we had not published the story, but had merely linked to it. These were the early days of the internet, and many people didn't understand how hyperlinks worked. It's unclear to me, even now, whether his firm understood this perfectly well, but sent the cease and desist letter to try to intimidate us anyway. Then it says at Page 6, the PR apparatus of blocking and tackling was even more apparent because the gossip industry is so intertwined with celebrities. PR people wouldn't just defend their clients. They would try to plant flattering stories, derail unflattering ones, or pit celebrities against each other to redirect attention. And some of them are just fairly innocuous, no big deal, like a sighting at a restaurant, nothing a big deal. But sometimes it turns into a very big deal where all of a sudden there's retaliation, where you're publishing a really bad blind item about someone, where you're calling someone horrific, where you're saying that someone was very rude at a restaurant or tipping very badly or mean to fans. These things can be really perceived very badly about someone's image. Think about go back to just even remember those stories that we would hear about Lindsay Hubbard at BravoCon, right? And I have no idea whatsoever if these are true or not. And I'm just bringing them up just because this just sparked my interest. Remember when we would hear stories that Lindsay Hubbard is so mean to her fans at BravoCon? I remember that so strongly in the back of my mind, always about Lindsay. But Lindsay Hubbard, to me personally, as Donna, has been the nicest on DM, in comments, personally. to me over any of the other ones on Summer House. So, like, I don't have that experience with her. I'm not saying that, like, I've met her in person and she's been nice to me or whatever, but it's just interesting to me that, like, she's been painted as this horrible person. I also remember Morgan, from Morgan P. Talks, the podcaster. She had a great experience one time with Lindsay meeting her, and so I just find that those kinds of stories so interesting when you hear, like, this person is just awful to their fans, and they end up being some of the nicest people. So you never know. Um, do you guys want to hear this story about Alec Baldwin? Okay, well, I can pass on that. But okay, the point is that this goes on and on, but it says, now that so much reputation management happens on social media platforms and elsewhere on the internet, the sources of information ultimately the truth and the manufactured lies about a celebrity are harder to sort through. This was something Mr. Baldoni's PR firm is accused of exploiting on his behalf via coordinated posts on various platforms. They used astroturfing, which is what we talked about, which is basically using different social media accounts to use to create the impression that Blake was difficult to work with, and using this idea that Justin Baldoni was this, like, amazing feminist who cared about preventing DV, and it worked. It worked up until this complaint that came out, and so she's basically saying uh, that it worked very much. And it said that Miss Lively had another thing working against her. The particular line that women have to walk in the public eye. They must be likable in a way that men don't have to be. It probably says something positive about her that the worst thing Mr. Baldoni's PR firm could produce in terms of smearing her were clips and social media posts that suggested she was unlikable and nitpicked about her posture and tone, which is easy to do with any high profile woman, especially one who's been interviewed hundreds of times. Everyone has an off day or a clip that can be unflattering out of context. If you have an impression of Miss Lively and it's generally negative, it may be because, like me, you saw one of those clips in the sprawling campaign that put those clips in front of you was invisible to you. The allegations Miss Lively makes in her complaint are chilling. And if you read that complaint, they are freaking awful. The allegations are awful. And if you're reading that complaint about Mr. Baldoni, Justin Baldoni, and you're, like, minimizing them, or you're saying, like, no big deal, then you've either never worked on a movie set, you don't know how movie sets work, and you don't believe women. Like, just honestly, really, truly. And you know me, you guys know me. I am not like some raging feminist. I'm not like, marching on the Capitol wearing like a PUSSY hat or whatever. Like, I'm not that kind of a person in any way, but there was something that resonated really strong with reading that complaint. And I also worked on so many movie sets and TV sets in my life, and was literally talked to by men that are just like him. And just, I think it's also really damning the fact that he has built his career on being this, like, pro woman man, which is just doubly wrong. Like, if he was like um, I don't know, just like a typical, like a jackass type of guy, literally like a jackass. Like, what's his name? Johnny, Knoxville. Like, if that was his vibe in general, or he was just like some comedian dude, I think it would have been a very different kind of vibe. Michelle calls me Donna Burn the Bras Bowling. You never know. 2025 is upon us. I could be burning my Honey Love bras. Use code Daily Dose. Okay. I just re-signed with Honey Love. I love Honey Love. Don't burn the Honey Love bras. Burn all the other bras. Honey Loves should not be burned. They're the best. Okay. Um, Among other things, she said that, okay, so like the complaint against Baldoni, I think every woman out there and most men should think are pretty bad. Okay. Being nude during the birth scenes, walking in on her when she's breastfeeding or naked, weird shit. Weird shit. Going to her trainer, talking about her weight, stuff that, like, really should not happen. But anyway, the point is that the story ends by saying the complaint itself is a kind of reputation management, one that's far more effective than an astroturfing campaign because it's transparent. You know who's making the allegations and why. Basically saying hers is stronger than his astroturfing. Her complaint is going to go down stronger than his PR abilities. You know that a court will evaluate facts and evidence, not just viral gossip and planted stories about a given celebrity, often shaped by people you never see. You know the verdict can't be reversed simply by the subterranean digital warfare of PR executives. And you know the reputations of all parties in the end will rise or fall not on celebrity image making, but on something far closer to the truth. So that's the story, Morning Glory. And honestly, um, at the end of the day, it just comes down. I think it's a bigger story than just Blake and Justin. I think it's like such a bigger story only because, because I just saw a comment that says, like, is it weird I don't care about it? It's not weird at all. Like, there's certain people that would never care about this at all. There's also certain people that don't care about the James Kennedy story. And there's certain people that don't care about Mauricio and Kyle. There's certain people that just don't care about certain stories. This one to me is such a big story. Why? Because I think it means so much more than Justin and Blake. It's like indicative of the world that we live in right now. Like, I feel like I could write like a thesis on this, right? Because it's about like the world of social media, of mass manipulation, of mainstream media, of thinking that, like, if you have Hollywood behind you, if you have money behind you, if you have news articles behind you, you can tell the story and you can shape the world's views. And now people are questioning things and people can change their minds. But at the end of the day, we thought we were smarter than that. And in 2024, we were all literally like we all like, I thought I was smarter than that, right? I think a lot of us did. I think a lot of us thought we were smarter than being able look, like, we're all sitting here like, question everything, conspiracy theory. That's what I think. And here I am doing, an episode of now I can't remember the podcast that I love so much that I did with Chris DeRosa, with the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni podcast. Oh my God, what is the name of it? I just did it with them and I love them so much. But I did that podcast and we basically had to kind of say, which one do we believe? And I was like, Justin Baldoni, duh. So it's a really interesting story. And I think in this world of politics and in this world of um, world news, and then of course, just like reality TV and TikTok and everything, you get on that algorithm and your life, the world is over, right? Once you hit that algorithm, goodbye. It's the system. Exactly. That's what it is. Okay. So let's move on to the next story. Oh, and just a little more on the Justin Baldoni, and then we'll move on. I do want to hit a couple updates since Monday because I wasn't here for the week, and then I'll move on. Okay. So Monday, or Tuesday, there were some updates. The woman Jennifer Abel, who was one of the PR women, there's a lot of reasons why her texts were released. And now we know why. Her old boss, Stephanie Jones, who many people dislike, I found out. She's a PR executive. She used to, I believe she's still Tom Brady's PR executive. And she's one of the most despised, polarizing PR executives in the world. And there's like damning articles about her. She was basically Jennifer used to work for her. And Jennifer Abel was then leaving to start her own business, which is when she took Justin Baldoni with her. Now, Stephanie is the reason that all those text messages were released. And Stephanie is now suing Jennifer Abel and Justin Baldoni alongside other people and has now released all these more text messages of Jennifer Abel, who is still currently, I think, Justin Baldoni's publicist at this moment. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I appreciate Debbie. My brain went to dust. It's Chris DeRosa's Fixing Famous People is the name of the podcast. And I love that podcast. And I don't know where my brain went. Fixing Famous People. We need to do a part 2. So she is suing Jennifer Abel and released all these damning text messages of Jennifer Abel talking badly about Justin Baldoni. That's her own client. That's like me talking badly about the person paying me the bills. Like, it's just so messy. And of course, she's going to talk badly about Justin Baldoni because haven't we all talked badly about our own clients in some way? Like internally, it's always happened that way. You know, you're talking like smack, but she just like unloaded it because she can't stand Jennifer Abel because Jennifer Abel took her own client and started her own business. But I mean, it's like it's so messy. So meanwhile, Justin Baldoni is having the worst weeks of his life. Not only did everything change in his life, the world was on his side. Now everyone has turned on him. The public, his agent dropped him. His current publicist has now been discovered as like not loyal to him and has talked badly about him and said, "Oh my God, this guy is such a tool, basically. He's such a piece of work." And talking crap about how he like thinks he's hot shit and he's not. There's videos of him or pictures of him like going and dealing and talking to his lawyers and this and that. But not only that, now more people from the cast, including Jenny Slate, who played Blake Lively's best friend in the movie, but also Justin Baldoni's sister in the movie, has come out and said that she, of course, is standing by Blake Lively, which is not surprising whatsoever. She is defending Blake Lively, as is the guy who played Atlas in the movie. So basically, the entire cast is now slowly coming out, as we expected that they would, coming out and supporting Blake Lively. Most recently, of course, was Jenny Slate, who defends Blake Lively and is saying, as Blake Lively's castmate and friend, "I voice my support as she takes action against those reported to have planned and carried an attack out on her reputation. Blake is a leader, loyal friend, and trusted source of emotional support for me and so many who know her and love her." SAG-AFTRA, which is the union that represents both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni, also made a remark and a statement in support of Blake Lively, which is a huge deal because normally they would just say, since they represent both Blake and Justin, they would say we're investigating. But because they feel so strongly about this, they said we're supporting Blake Lively. For them to side with Blake Lively, the union, without saying we're investigating, is such a big deal. Justin is so clearly done. It's got to be bad. It's got to be bad. And the most damning, I think, is that Justin had a podcast. I believe it was called Are You Man Enough or some cheesy name like that. And he had a woman who was his, Liz Plank, I believe, who was his co-host for many years. And while I was in Vegas, I read an article that she also stepped out and spoke against him as well. So every single person is turning on him. This then starts to make me feel sick to my stomach because I don't like feeling like everyone is turning on someone. That I hate more than anything. But if in fact, if someone is a bad person and goes this far to try to take someone else down to prop themselves up, as they say, FAFO, my baby, right? Do you guys remember? FAFO. And that does not stand for food and fun only. If you guys know, you know. Okay, we got to move on. Oh God. Whoa. Okay. We got to move on. So, let's move on to Scheana Shay. Guys, I'm glad. Scheana Shay finally spoke out. Now, as you guys know, I was feeling pretty passionate about this James Kennedy, Scheana Shay, and no one speaking out about it last week. And then remember, live in front of you guys, I came to the realization, and if you actually listen to the podcast and don't just like listening to little sound bites to judge me and to attack me, you'll realize that I am one of the first people in this world to recognize when I am wrong or to learn live and in living color from my mistakes. So, from anyone that thought, like, oh my God, you're being so tough, I was really like figuring it out with you guys. Currently, I was figuring it out. Hey, um, I don't know why they're not saying anything. And then someone was bringing it up in the comments. Well, maybe they're protecting Allie. Maybe Allie has asked that. And I said, oh, well, if that's the case, then I totally get it. And so you can go back. Luckily, everything I do is recorded on this podcast. And so if you go back, you will actually understand that I, at the end of the day, said, okay, if that's the case, if the reason that Lala and Allie and not Allie, Lala and Scheana and Ariana and Katie and Lisa Vanderpump and everyone and their mother are not saying, and everyone and their dads, because also Tom and Jax and everyone is not saying, they're not saying one damn word about James. The loudest cast in the world are not saying anything, then, and they're all doing it in support of Allie, then I guess I take it back. But Scheana finally did release an episode this morning of her podcast, and I was listening to it while I was shopping at Trader Joe's. And I was very, very impressed by her because she did bring it up, and I was happy to hear it. I will just I'll play with you guys. I will play a little part of it for you guys, just what she said. I'm sure you guys did hear it, but I think it's important to just hear from her words exactly what she said about it, because it was a question and answer podcast. A lot of the questions were about Summer Moon, about her trip to Hawaii, about, parenting stuff, and then of course it got to the important part, which no offense to Summer Moon, but been there, done that. So I was actually more interested in hearing kind of about the questions about this. So she basically said, a lot of you guys had these questions. I'm going to read all the questions, and then I wrote down my answer because I didn't want to mess this up. And this is what she said.
Say anything on the podcast, but I now see how that's coming off by staying silent. So I have spoken to Allie. I check in with her often. I always have, but I know it seems like if I stay silent, y'all somehow think I support his behavior, which I absolutely do not. Obviously, I was very close with Raquel for years. And while she always told me that James was never physically abusive, as we all know, abuse isn't limited to just physical. And ultimately, it led to her exiting that relationship. And I had a lot of empathy for her, which is why Brock helped move her out and move her in with us at the time. I wanted to do anything I could to help and give her a safe space. I do hope that James views this as a rock bottom moment and is serious about just committing to a healing plan versus just seeing this as something that's, going to ruin the world tour or residency or whatever. I've noticed his name has been taken off of certain shows, and that is a direct consequence to his actions. And he needs to get help, and not just to prevent Allie or some other girl from being subjected to abusive behavior in the future, but to give himself a chance to live life with healthy relationships. And I know he wants those things for himself, and he needs to give himself the proper tools to deal with his trauma that doesn't involve projecting it onto others. Like I said at the beginning of this, I've just been hesitant to speak publicly on these topics because I feel like no matter what my intentions, I don't always get it right when I'm trying to navigate a very sensitive and serious subject matter. And that's why I have my cards today, because I wanted to make sure I'm saying everything I want to say without just rambling. But look, also, I want to keep the line of communication and support open to Allie. I want her to know that she is supported. I don't want to, say.
Okay. So that's essentially what she said. I mean, it goes on, and then she gives like a number for support, if anyone's going through this on their own, if they need advice or if they need like a support line or anyone to go through. Okay, here's my thought. Look, anything is better than nothing. And I truly think that that's all she needed to say from the beginning. Because I think for Allie to ask any of these girls who have such a public career in a public like platform, to ask them to not say a word to not protect James, but like, yeah, I mean, essentially what Allie was doing was saying, please, please, please don't say a word to protect James. That's putting, which essentially means is protecting Allie, right? Because she's basically saying, please don't make James look worse so that I don't get in trouble more with him, right? I mean, right? Isn't that kind of what that is? So essentially, she's asking Scheana is put my relationship with James ahead of your relationship with your audience and their trust in you. Because there's a lot of girls out there, and I'm not saying it's me because I'm lucky enough that I don't have any, faith in someone like a Scheana or a Lala to trust in like my life's choices at all. But probably a lot of younger women who really rely on these women like an Ariana, a Katie, a Lala, and a Scheana to like guide them in life. Maybe I'm wrong, but is that not how some of these parasocial relationships are? And maybe there are some women out there that are going through relationships like this and really do look at like an Ariana or a Scheana or a Lala and felt like maybe, gosh, I wonder what I should do right now. And I really wish that one of those women would give me the strength right now to like know what to do. And maybe I'm just like, that look, my job here is to give you guys my opinion. And I think that I'm so glad she said something. I'm so glad she said something, and I'm so glad it didn't take her another month. But it's been how many weeks now? 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 3 weeks? And, and I really wish she would've I'm glad she said something now and didn't wait longer. Because if I were Scheana is right that she basically is going to Allie probably and saying like, "Okay, I've got you and I wanna protect you, but at the same time, like, I need my audience to trust me." And basically what I'm doing right now is I'm telling my audience without saying anything that it's okay what James is doing. And I'm sorry, you guys, as a podcaster, and I have you guys, I just know what you guys would think of me. If one of my best friends who you guys I don't even want to say names, but like if one of my best friends out there was being accused of doing something like James and I was just pretending it didn't happen and just not talking about it, wouldn't you guys be mad at me? I feel like you guys would be mad at me. You guys would be like not really cool with me right now talking about like other things. I feel like you guys would say like, hello, Donna, there's a huge elephant in the room. Your best friend is being accused of DV and you're not saying anything. So you got to say something for me to be able to trust you. So I feel like there's a little bit of a weird, not saying anything is essentially saying so much. It's a tough thing. So that's all she needed to say is I support Allie. And for Allie, I told her that I wouldn't say anything, but I also really want to say that I do not think that anything about that is right. And that's all she needed to say. And she could have said that. Maybe she couldn't have said that the first week, but she could have said that as soon as she could have. And if that was this week, then this was good. Yes, they lose credibility, Dario says. That's a really good way to put it. You do lose credibility when you don't stand up for wrong behavior when it's your own circle, but you stand up for wrong behavior when it's out of your own circle. And I'm sorry, I agree. Like if this was there's some really great comments here that I think are really important. So Smiley says, I agree with your thought. I've been a DV victim. And yes, I've been there and said some stuff too in fear of more of DV, meaning you've told people around you not to say anything because you've been scared of more DV. Yeah, Wanda says, I agree with peeps here in the chat. Scheana is doomed whether she says something or she doesn't. But because Scheana got so much backlash for being quiet, she had to say something. Exactly. Agree, Donna. For example, Brittany leaving Jax is starting to give my sister some inspiration from leaving her own Jax. Thank you, Danny. Wow. And by the way, you guys, Danny from Danny Gossip Girl, like did such a sweet post yesterday on social media. I don't know if you guys saw this, but she like awarded a bunch of podcasters different like awards for best content creator. And she gave me the breakout star of 2024. And she wrote the sweetest, kindest thing. So honestly, Danny, that was so kind. Like the nicest thing. She called me the breakout. And I hope she didn't mean like a face full of pimples. The breakout. So sweet. Yeah, Josh says, I feel like there's a diplomatic way to say you support women and women up domestic violence, women and not domestic violence. I think that's what you're saying. So yeah, I think that's really important to stay with that stay with your audience and like keep that trust. And that's when you have to admit when you're wrong. You have to say you're sorry when you mess up. You have to take accountability and you have to like sometimes go against people in your own world when they do wrong. And that's the truth. Is like if someone that was on my podcast said something that I thought was incredibly offensive, I would have to go against them. And I would say like they did wrong, even if they were my best friend. I would have to go against someone in my circle if they did something very bad in real life. Like that's just how you have to do it. That's just how you have to do it, because you have to go with what's right. And that's why I disagree. And I mean, that's why I have to always like take accountability for things that I say that are wrong because I clearly lack a filter and I think after I speak 975% of the time. 975% out of 100%. But that's half my charm, right? All right. That's for all 20 of you that like me. I'm a breakout star. Just kidding. You like me. You really like me. Okay. Speaking of really liking, I think Kyle and Mauricio, you guys really like each other. Really like each other. And in fact, I'm actually really a fan of the way that they're handling this separation / possible eventual divorce, possibly getting back together. We don't really know what's going on there, but I'm actually really surprised by them. Is anyone else feeling it? Kyle and Mauricio. This is the chain of action. Kyle and Mauricio, obviously, as we know, we're watching so many different timelines here because we're watching the show that was filmed months ago. And in the show, Kyle and Mauricio were talking about how, they're separated and they're kind of like weird about it, but they seem to have a really good separation. But then we're seeing in real time, Kyle was on Watch What Happens Live saying, like, yeah, he's dating and whatever. And it's kind of weird, but like, it's all good. They spent the holidays in in Aspen together, living their best lives, doing like TikToks together. I don't know if you guys are watching any of these TikToks that they're performing in together over in, maybe I can find them really fast. The daughters are posting all these TikToks, these adorable TikToks of their let me see if I can find Sophia Umansky. I feel like Sophia posted a couple really cute ones of them. Well, this is Farah, but how do I find Sophia? Hold on, Sophia. The sound. Okay. Look how cute they are. And it's like, why can't they be back together? I mean, obviously, if they're not physically attracted to each other or if they're not in love with each other, then they shouldn't be back together. But I kind of, in a strange, weird way, feel like maybe they should be together. I don't know. I mean, unless they just don't like each other that way, but they seem really cute. Okay, check it out. Hold on, let me go to the beginning. I'm not going to play the music, obviously, because I don't want copyright issues. Okay, number one, how gorgeous do they all look? They're probably heavily filtered, but they look great. Look at Mauricio dancing around. There's Portia. Portia's alive. There's Farah. Okay. There's Kyle looking so cute. Sophia again. But notice, I mean, Mauricio's living his best life with the fam. All of them look adorable, right? They truly are one of the most good-looking family. I don't know if they've just all gotten like amazing work or what, but they really are a great-looking family. I want to see. There's Kyle. Well, I can't tell actually if that's Kyle. They all look the same. Yeah, that's Kyle. There's Mauricio. I mean, why are they so cute? Don't you want them to be together? They're making breakfast. They have cute cats. And maybe they're just like not in love. Maybe they just like hanging out together. But like, that's actually also a dream. I don't know. I have a relationship with, I mean, my mom and my dad never were able to be even in the same presence after they divorced. So like, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe that's what it comes down to. I'm just jealous. Does anyone else feel the same way? Okay, so everyone's saying he's cheating, he's cheating, he's cheating. Okay, so maybe they should never get back together, but like they should just be friends. Unless she's still in love with him, and then no, that won't work. Let me read some of the things. Co-parenting is definitely ideal. Asif says he's cheating all the time. Joe says, why ruin a good thing with a setup? Actually, divorcing will cause more headaches for both Mo and Kyle with their assets. Kyle and Mo can still have a family and just be friends. Yeah, maybe it does work. Josh says, also, my dad remarried and I get along better with her than I do my real mom. They do look good together, though, and I know each other really well. Sometimes companionship is good. Christina says, marriage is complicated. I've been married over 25 and a half years, been in the verge of divorce several times, but here we are still together and great companions. You never know. I mean, trust me. Married how many years? We've been married. What year is it? We'll be married 14 years this coming year. I mean, it's like it's a freaking roller coaster. It's so hard, especially with kids growing up. It's so hard. Okay, so anyway, regardless, they have a cute house, they have a cute life, they have cute cats, they all have good hair. Becky with the good hair. Okay, anyway, it's very cute and I'm jealous. But this is what I wanted to bring it up for. Is that Bravo's Hot Mic podcast held by or hosted by Alex Baskin. And I've got my thoughts about Alex Baskin. Okay. Alex Baskin is, listen, Alex Baskin is behind Vanderpump Rules. And so I think he was very well aware of James Kennedy and all his drama. I think he is a problematic producer, but also very, he knows how to bring the cash cow in if, he's behind some really, really good TV. So I also love him. It's kind of an Andy Cohen situation, if you know what I'm talking about. He, Josh, what are you talking about? He's a podcaster who has these Bravo people on his shows. And he had Mauricio and what's his name? PK on his show. And the problem is he records these things months in advance. So I have no idea when he actually recorded them, but he had them on a few months ago, I think, because it's never live. It's never in real time. And here's the difference. So Mauricio is talking about Kyle in the most respectful, kind, lovely, sweet, adorable, like loving way. He's saying Kyle hasn't changed. He's saying she's grounded. He's saying she's a wonderful mom. He's saying she's done an incredible job on the show. He's saying all these beautiful, amazing, wonderful things the entire time on this podcast. And then PK is coming out and talking so badly about Dorit. It's so incredibly opposites on this podcast. Every time PK opens up his mouth about Dorit, he's like, she's changed. She thinks she knows me. She doesn't. She's really weaponizing my drinking. She thinks she's around me in my darkest hour. She's not. She's really dramatic. She's not an actress, but she's acting like one. She's this difficult. She's this, she's that, she's this. She's like, he's so difficult about Dorit. He's so negative about Dorit. It irks me. And I'm just going to say something. And this should be a Patreon conversation, but I'm just going to say something. I have a person in my life, a woman. Sounds very Kyle and Morgan. I have a woman in my life who is married. And she told me that she was at a bar, club. I don't even know. Probably a bar because who the hell goes to clubs? And she was with some girlfriends and it was a few months ago. And she was at some kind of area and PK was there and they got introduced and he was like flirting with her hardcore. And he was like, "Can I get your number?" And she said no. And he said, why not? And she said, "I'm married." And he was like, "Please, da, da, da." And she said no. And he kept asking and she said no. And then he went around her and asked someone else and got her number. And this is all alleged, okay? I'm going to say alleged just so you know, allegedly. And he continued to call and text and call and text and call. And she had to block him. So, I don't like this side of PK that I'm hearing. There's something about breaking up with your wife. Number one, they're not even divorced, and you have young kids. This is a public podcast. What do we always say about Brittany and Jax? It's so negative to go onto a public podcast and just dog on your ex. And he says a couple of nice things about Dorit, but in general, he walks away from that podcast very negatively, like putting her down. I would rather him walk away saying, "Look, it's not this, it's not that, but she's a good person. We're working through it." It just feels very, very negative about her. I prefer Kyle and Mauricio. That the way that they talk, even if it's fake, the way that they're never, ever talking shit about each other is the best possible thing that they can do for their daughters. And that's why their daughters are always going to be healthier for that. That's why, honestly, it's probably why Teresa and Juicy Joe's daughters are good because they like treat each other with respect as exes. That's what I think. And I worry about Jagger and Phoenix because that's just not a good way to grow up. She's going on a show saying like he's an alcoholic. He's a disgusting alcoholic. And he's going on a show saying like she's changed. Not good. Not good. Okay. Well, anyway, I think that's where I'm going to leave you. This is where I leave you. Oh, here's what I'm watching. Just started Squid Game season 2. Who started it last night? We watched one episode before I fell asleep. I was exhausted. You know that post-Vegas exhaustion. One episode, phenomenal. I hope it stays good. Loved it. I listened to a Dateline podcast. I binged it. It's the Dateline. What is it? Desert Deadly Mirage. Dateline NBC. 6 episodes. Deadly Mirage. It's about an affair gone wrong. That's good. What else am I watching? Oh, Lioness. I'm watching Lioness. Loving it. My schedule for next week. I will be here all next week, except maybe New Year's Day. But I will be here all next week, except there. And I will be on Patreon this weekend. And I can't wait to come on in and give you all the scoop. Scoopity scoop. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show, as always. And I will talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you all. Bye.